Larry took about a week and then he got a post that got 150,000 views. It's at a point where I don't touch the marketing, I don't touch TikTok. All I do is press the post button on TikTok because he posts it as a draft and then money comes in.
How's it, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Exponential Africa, where we are bringing you the very best in thought leadership, innovation, and disruption from around the globe. And we've spent a lot of time now talking about AI, what it is, what it can do, and where it's going. But something new is emerging, and we're moving from AI as a tool to AI as an operator. Not just something that you prompt, but something that actually thinks, plans, creates, and executes. And today's guest is building exactly that. Oliver Henry is a creator of Larry's Brain and Larry's Skill on OpenClaw, a powerful AI agent that can generate, manage, and run content workflows in a way that feels less like software and more like a team member. And we're even using it ourselves across our own social platforms. And one of the clearest examples of where this is going, Oliver is also previously a game developer, working at Unity and building out some incredible games and cool products. So let's welcome Oliver to the stage. Oliver, thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for having me, and thank you for the kind words, and of course, using Larry.
Awesome. Well, I think you've been on a whirlwind adventure with OpenClaw, and it hasn't been a long time, right?
No, so I don't know when you started seeing about Larry, but it's only been about a month since I started posting about Larry. I think my first post was just my tweets about how well my OpenClaw agent is generating content for me, how it started getting me hundreds of thousands of views per post. And then I dropped an article when I had 800 followers, just letting everyone know how I did it. So I was, at the time I had 800 followers. These views were getting about 5,000 views, and I was like, wow, this is blowing up. I'm going to tell everyone how to do it. And then that article got 7 million views, and it's kickstarted a huge whirlwind adventure.
I mean, it's just phenomenal. I mean, you've gone and how many followers are you on now?
I think it's 22,000 and some change.
It's like 21,000 followers in a month.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
All more interested in my AI agent than they are me as well.
I mean, it's just incredible. And what is Larry's Brain? Maybe let's just start there. Maybe explaining to everybody, what is Larry's Brain?
So Larry's Brain is a marketplace that will supercharge your OpenClaw agent. So Larry's Brain is really my interpretation of the way the internet is moving and the way these agents are going to have to work. So when I first started with Larry, there was a skills marketplace by OpenClaw themselves called Claw Hub, and that is where you can download some skills. But your agent doesn't know what is on the Claw Hub marketplace. So you have to manually search these skills, find them yourself, and then ask your agent to install them. Larry's Brain is Larry's Brain. It has full context of the entire marketplace. So if you ask your agent, I want to grow on X, we have a skill that is an exact replica of Super X, a popular X growth tool that you can then install, and it will install it for you, host it locally. Obviously, the Larry marketing skill to automate your marketing is on there. So it's just to supercharge your agent and preload it with all the knowledge it needs to make you successful, instead of having to manually search for different skills.
Amazing. So Larry's actually it's actually an application, or it's a type of AI framework, and you just called it Larry because that name resonated with you, or it has meaning to you.
Well, to be honest, Larry name came from the OpenClaw agent, and OpenClaw's mascot is a lobster, and I just thought Larry the lobster, and I'm pretty sure that I was one of the first people on Twitter to just start calling the OpenClaw agent by its name. And I even say like Larry's a he, because if you've ever used OpenClaw, when you speak to your agent, it just becomes it grows a personality, and it almost becomes a friend. So it's quite hard in your brain, especially where I talk to it on WhatsApp. He is almost like just in with all my friends. So where I talk to my mum, where I talk to my family, my friends, Larry is also in those same chats. So it is just like talking to a family member or a friend that gets work done for you. It's incredible.
It's like your new AI teammate that you feel, closer to than your closest work colleagues.
Yeah, to be honest, I would go a step further. And this is how, if you're going to start OpenClaw, this is exactly how I recommend to think of an OpenClaw agent. If you could duplicate yourself and have a perfect duplicate of you, what would you ask yourself to do? And these are typically tasks that you don't enjoy doing, you know you should be doing, but you don't, you're too lazy to do them, or perhaps you don't have the time. And they're just things that you know in your head that will take you to the next level, but you just don't do them. That is what OpenClaw should be used for. And when you're on board, it's going to ask you question like, what is my task? What is my goal? And that's exactly what you should detail to it. How are you using OpenClaw? Because you said you're using it yourself. How did you talk? How did you set yours up?
So I've called mine Jackson, which is actually named after my father. So I'm talking to Jackson all the time on my Telegram, and I've set it up pretty much to help run with social. I'm using Larry. It's really helping me to automate my marketing. I started off doing it on a personal level, and now we are looking at doing it for some of our different brands, and then eventually it's going out to customers, I would say. But it's been a whirlwind. It's been a lot of troubleshooting, trying to make sure everything works. Running out, being rate limited all the time, or running out of compute power on the Mac Mini. I bought the cheaper one. I think I should have bought a bigger one. But it's been fun. It's been a really fun journey so far.
Yeah, the troubleshooting is something you're going to have to get used to. Like, these agents are incredible at building a product for you, but it's like the last 5% that you need to work around. But I do think the more computer literate you are for going into it, the easier it is. But I mean, I know people, one of my friends has quit their job as a recruiter selling job adverts, and he was the top recruiter at this company for like 5 years in a row. And now he's quit and thought, I'm just going to build it myself. And he got it out in 2 weeks. And now he's selling that. He's selling that himself. And my own uncle saw what I was doing on Twitter, and he's like, I want to do this. He does property development in London, and now he's built out a new software for him to save money on generating quotes for different customers. And yes, it's like blowing up. The people that are using it are not computer people at all, and that goes a long way to see how easy it is to use. And it's definitely the big trend at the moment.
I mean, it was quite funny. Last week, we actually had 3 dads building with OpenClaw. So I found
fantastic.
Even at the school run, when you're dropping off the kids at school, you hear from the dads, what they're building now. It's no longer like, check out my concept, let's check what I've built. And none of them are technical, But so let me ask you, what sort of problem were you trying to solve, with Larry? And was it around just trying to firstly find the skills on Claw Hub was the first initial use for it, or what was it, and how did you solve that problem when you built Larry?
Yeah, so when I built Larry, I knew I wanted to automate my marketing. So that was the first core thing that Larry's goal was. So I built Larry in a weekend, and then I went to my local football team, Portsmouth. I was in the stadium and I was texting Larry his goals and what we should do. And at that moment, I knew this was the future. Like, I'm sat in a stadium with 20,000 people, and I'm getting work done at home, building something, and MVPs were being sent to me. Slides were being sent to my phone. And then it was just like, okay, how can we take this to the next level? And what Larry does is not just create the content, not just write the text. He can read the analytics of your TikTok views. He can read your revenue from Stripe or Revenue Cat if you're using an app, or anything that you can plug revenue data into. And he then posts, can see what content actually gets views and what content actually drives revenue, and can double down on all of that. So then it's just, all Larry is doing is seeing what works, doubling down on it. And if nothing's working, wildly testing different concepts, different content to make it work. And it started off basic. It was like a skill file of 50 lines, and then it went to 500 lines of all these different things. And I mean, my TikTok started blowing up. Like, Larry's first Larry took about a week, and then he got a post that got 150,000 views. And then from then it was like, it blew up. He was getting 400,000 views, 300,000 views, and everything he was posting was just turn into gold, and then generating revenue for my app. So it's at a point where I don't touch the marketing. I don't touch TikTok. All I do is press the post button on TikTok because he posts it as a draft, and then money comes in via my apps. It's crazy.
You don't have him doing it automatically. You've got it so that it's scheduled for you to still approve before it goes live.
Yeah, so there's a key reason for that, and you can schedule Larry to post via an API. I choose not to, because with TikTok, if you schedule it as a draft, you can then go into TikTok and pick a sound yourself, so it can help it trend, because the API won't really know what sound is trending and what people are listening to at the moment. So then you can just pick a sound and post it yourself. And the added benefit is it counts as being posted from a physical device, not via the API. I feel that whenever I post something through the API itself, it really limits the amount of views that I can get. But when I post it from my mobile phone, it does much better. So I found that out early, and I tell everyone this, but they still choose to post via the API, but it's up to them. It's a design choice.
What's posting through the API? Is that like using Buffer or Posters or something through the API?
Yes. So I use a backend called Posters, and Posters is incredibly powerful. And I only started using Posters because Larry could understand the documentation easily. So I didn't know anyone from Posters, and I wrote about them in the article. And the Posters founder reached out to me, and he's like, "Oh, thank you so much. Like, what have you done?" Because obviously he was in that article. He got 7 million eyes on his product as well. So he's very happy as well. And now we're good friends, and he's helping me with Larry Loop, which is Larry that can be used by anyone without the need of OpenClaw. So he's returning the favor and helping me with the back end for that.
Phenomenal. So you have to use something. Okay, so you don't have to use Posters. You could have it set up so it's ready for you, and then you would post. But if you're posting on more than just TikTok, if it's 5 or 6 platforms, it would be probably more efficient to post using Posters or Buffer or something.
Well, no, to be honest, Posters is sort of required, because to post via TikTok API, TikTok needs to give you approval for that. So if you make your own product, you need to submit that to TikTok. It's a 2-week approval process. It takes a long time, and then you can get declined. I've tried it before, so that's why I just use Posters, and Posters allows you to use their API with TikTok that they've already got approved. So then you can tell your agent, use Posters and post it to TikTok. You connect your account, and then it's done. But with Larry Loop, you just sign up to Larry Loop, connect your account there, uses everything on the back end is done for you. All you have to do is sign up, connect your account, paste your web URL in. So then Larry knows what your content is, who your competitors are, does research, and then you can press one button and it generates your content for you. All done. That's it.
Unbelievable. And so Larry Loop is now your next iteration of Larry Skill. It's like it's the next evolution, and that's actually not. You don't even need to have OpenClaw to use Larry Loop. You could just is there a website, or how do people start using it?
So Larry Loop is for people who do not have OpenClaw. So larryloop.com, it's a website. You can go and sign up, and the article got 7 million views, and 10,000 people used the free Larry skill available on Larry Brain, which is the marketplace. But the Larry Loop is the Larry iteration loop available to anyone, because I realized 7 million people seen it. A lot of people like it, but not everyone has OpenClaw. So I wanted to still help those people. It is a charge service because I have to pay for the APIs, the image generation, the research APIs, everything that I've built. So unfortunately, this one I couldn't give away for free. Otherwise, I would be dead broke. And we were chatting before the podcast that so many people have signed up. I've put a lot of my money into API keys already. So yeah, it's going well. Like, I just want to help people.
I think it's totally worth it. I mean, people would probably be spending more being rate limited and trying to work out the flow and build it themselves. They'll go through. You're saving them, weeks of pain and probably a lot of cost actually saving.
Absolutely. because let alone spending the API themselves and the APIs they'll take setting it up, getting it ready. They also have to buy a separate machine like a Mac Mini to actually run OpenClaw. So it's saving a lot of money for sure, and time, because instead of having to set up your OpenClaw agent, reinstalling it, especially if you're not computer literate, these things can be a right pain. So just being able to click one button to automate your marketing, I think is a great deal.
And I mean, how is Larry constantly improving? Are you like, is it constantly updating, or are you adding new skills, or how's that working currently?
Yes. So Larry Brain is the marketplace, and it is constantly updating. People can submit their own skills. We've just had a skill which is agentic media. So you can create videos and everything ties in with each other. So where it is on Larry Brain and it has context of everything, if you download a skill, that agentic media skill will then know about Larry Brain and vice versa, and then be able to use that in the marketing. So instead of generating slideshows, you can then generate user UGC content of an AI person promoting a product or anything that you can think of. So it's all designed to tie in together and help you work towards your goal.
Just well done, eh? Yeah, I think it's incredible. And I mean, you know, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you? You know,
I'm 26 years old.
Amazing,
but,
amazing.
Honestly, the age range that OpenClaw is enabling, it's helping. I was on call with a 16-year-old who is building a product, wants to drop out of school, and then, as I said, my uncle, who's never really been into computers, builder, is now getting into building software. I don't know, what's been your experience with OpenClaw in the wild? Like, who have you interacted with?
Yeah, I mean, last week, as I was saying, is we had 3 dads that are just at the school that are building different products using OpenClaw, and I'm constantly meeting people all around our industry and the community, people that are in big corporates, organizations. Everyone's sort of tinkering and tampering around, and I think one of the big mind shifts that we're experiencing now is that the old way of doing things is being disrupted, and you now have this ability to think of something, go out and try create it yourself, or the old tasks and the old processes are being reimagined so that anyone now can, and it's going to create more productivity, more apps. I think that software products are going to continue to evolve, and just like I actually tried to reverse engineer posters when I first saw it. And I went through that pain of the APIs and the apps and all of that. And it was quite a lot of pain trying to create a TikTok app and then this app and that app. And I did it all. But it was like, still, there were things that were not working. So I think that, that's definitely a lot of value still in software development and software products.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything saving people time, like Larry Brain, if you have set up OpenClaw before from the start, without Larry Brain, and then you set it up with, like, it's night and day difference, the speed that you can get started to actually work towards your goals. And then, like, these things like aren't easy to build. Anything easy to build, people are just going to prompt themselves. But for example, Larry Loop and the agentic flow and the loop of the self-learning, generating the hooks and the CTAs, that took time and like effort to create, and things like that are gonna save time. Like, if it takes time to build, people are gonna do it. And for example, the TikTok API is a great one for a 2-week approval process. It's gonna slow you down massively. In the real world, 5 years ago, that's fine because you've got 2 weeks worth of work to do in the meantime. But now you can prompt your way and you can do months and years of work. People that haven't been in software don't understand how long these things used to take to build. For a website, you can just prompt it, but that never used to be the case. Like, to build a website used to take effort, weeks. A good website used to take months or a year of planning, getting content. Now you can just prompt it. If something's not where you want it, no, I don't want it there, move this, change this color, and it's done. There's no back and forth on email, no calls, no meetings. incredible. It is incredible. What have you been building? What's your favorite thing that you've built with your OpenClaw?
I actually built a product that I'm using now. It's called PodPal, and it helps you while you are in a podcast to get ideas and to give you sort of superhuman strength as a podcaster.
Oh, that's incredible.
It's been a pretty cool one. Yeah, so I'm quite excited about that. And then we're also building out a variety of content workflows. So, our agency Mann makes a lot of content, and we're building out workflows to be able to produce and push out that content in a very efficient way. Pulling the content from a file or a folder from a Google Sheet and then posting it autonomously.
This is the superpower that I think is going under the radar, is the amount of new ideas that are going to come into the software industry. Because where it was software devs making stuff for clients or themselves, they were stuck within certain industries doing the same thing. But think of the examples that we've mentioned. The dads, you're building something for PodPal, for podcasts because you do podcasts. My uncle's building something for property development because he does property development. Recruitment friends doing recruiter. So all these people are coming from all corners of different industries, building different products, and it's going to be so vast that I don't know. It's happening so rapidly. Soon there's going to be a software to do anything, and that's exactly why Larry Brain is getting built out. Because how are you going to find all of these different software? If you're a podcaster, how are you going to find the podcast tools? If you're a recruiter, how are you going to find? Larry Brain will just know, okay, this is the recruitment tools. This is your goal. This is what you need. And it's there.
Amazing. I mean, do you see a future where everyone sort of has their own Larry, for their business?
Do you know what? I saw this. So if people that don't know, I got a few questions in advance, and I saw this and it really made me laugh, because 10,000 OpenClaw agents are already using Larry. And I don't know how many OpenClaw agents there actually are, but I'm fairly sure that that is a huge chunk of the entire OpenClaw market that are using Larry, because I do think X is in a bit of a bubble. So not many people outside of our realm know about OpenClaw yet. So I think a lot of people already are using Larry, but yeah, I think it's right at the forefront of one of the first skills people go to install, because let's be honest, marketing takes time and no one's really into it. Like the content generation, especially slideshows and thinking of hooks and finding images, etc., just takes so much time. And it's the skill that gives you so many hours back in return.
I mean, it's just like insane. It's so good, Where do you see Larry's Brain going in the next 12 to 24 months? I know it's, 24 months feels like a lifetime away in AI, and we might reach the singularity or AGI before then. A lot of people are saying we are actually going through the singularity now. We're actually experiencing it. And Ray Kurzweil predicted AGI in 2029, which is, pretty close. It's only 4 years away, but and his definition of that is it will be widely accepted by 2029. Some people already believe we're going through it now. Elon and others are saying it's next year or 2027. But where do you see Larry in the next year or 2 years?
Yeah, it's interesting what you say, because Jensen, the NVIDIA CEO, came out yesterday and saying AGI is already here, like specifically talking about the OpenClaw agents and being able to do things for you. To be honest, it almost sounded like he was talking about Larry, and it would be crazy if someone like that's seen Larry. But no one knows. I think Larry Brain is going to grow. The marketplace is going to grow, and it's going to become extremely powerful. And people building on Larry Brain will have very popular skills, because it's going to be a go-to tool for OpenClaw agents to use and find skills. But who knows? Like, if you asked me 6 months ago, we'd be talking about Claude Code and where we think that's going to go. If you asked me 12 months ago, we'd be talking about Cursor and building products. And there always seems to be the next cutting edge piece of technology that people are using. So with these short-term goals, you don't know what the next trend's going to be. Like Claude, Anthropic have released an OpenClaw competitor today that can control your whole computer exactly like OpenClaw. So who knows where these things are going to go? But I'm all in on OpenClaw. I feel like it's the open source alternative to all these things, and where it's plug and play with whatever you want. I think that's going to help a lot of people, and it's already super popular, as we know.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. You know, at Singularity, what we try to teach is that, and based on Ray's predictions, is, you know, that these surprise and delights are going to keep coming faster and faster. And, you know, even though Ray predicted all of this AI coming our way, he says it's still going to amaze us, and it's going to just keep accelerating. So we're going to see more change in the next 5 to 10 years than we've seen in the last 100 years. And, you know, that's like almost every day Anthropic's coming out with a new product or something, you know.
Yeah, but honestly, nothing. I've used computers all my life. I've loved computers, worked on things, built things, but the feeling I had when I realized I was texting Larry, this machine here, from miles away from my phone, and getting stuff built and sent to me from the computer, that was like different gravy. Because even on Claw Code, it was all local, so you would still have to be in front of your computer manually typing, and it felt more natural. That was like a complete step away from what you're used to, and now it's the norm. Everyone's used to it already. It's incredible how fast it happens. So I don't know what the next feeling like that's going to be.
But it'll probably be tomorrow.
That's what I was good. Yeah, it's probably going to be tomorrow or today. Yeah. It's early for me.
You know, Oliver, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it, coming in all the way from the UK, and we are amazed at what you've done and built in just such a short space of time. Only a month. You know, just imagine where you're going to be in 6 months' time with this. We're going to be following. Where can people follow you, just to, if they want to just, you know, follow your journey and see your progress?
So I'm at Oliver Henry on X, and I've just made a TikTok, and it's at oliverhenry.w, and I'm going to be posting a bit more personal things there, some thoughts and what I do in the day on my TikTok, but the main place is my X.
Awesome. Well, thanks. We're definitely going to follow you there, and thank you so much for your time. What Oliver's shown us today is something incredibly important. We're not just entering this era of AI tools, we're entering the era of AI systems, agents that operate, execute, and scale work. Larry's brain is a glimpse into that future, a world where small teams can operate with the power of much larger teams. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to like and subscribe to Exponential Africa, and we'll see you next week.